Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Castlevania Circle of the Moon. In the last part we've been about a majority of the castle doing various farms to prepare ourselves for and then finally tackle the battle arena here on the very northeastern chunk of the castle. And now all that remains for us is the end game, sort of. There's actually one map tile I've yet to collect technically, but I get that before we go tackle the full final boss just because I realized at the last second that I'm missing something. Brief thing to note though, we gained the Unicorn card near the end of the battle arena last time, which is the Holy Elemental DSS card, as well as the card we needed to round out our now complete card collection. Similarly to the Devil Armors that had the Black Dog card, they dropped that at a 2.5% base drop rate, same with their common drops, which are potion highs still. I'll talk about the effects of that card and its combos in a few moments though, as it's time for us to finally open the door from the start of the game and reach the endgame area itself. Though, funnily enough, beyond the door is actually a completely unique area separate from the sealed room area we're in right now. Welcome to the ceremonial room. Kind of rough thing about this region, though, is that there's not a save point directly nearby, so if you want to save, you have to either go into the catacombs or use the warp room to go over back to, like, the audience chamber.
You have done well to come so far. Master, impeccable timing. The time for the rite is upon us. Your soul will become ours as well.
Not if I can help it. Master, are you alright?
What an emotional display. But don't fool yourself. Even you must have darkness upon your soul.
What?
To be superior. To be honored for your singular accomplishments. To be loved by all. To get the glory even at the expense of others. That is what your friend craved. I just increased that desire, that power.
You despicable blight. How dare you toy with his soul? I'll get you for that. Dracula's back and has his usual teleportation shenanigans, but instead of throwing fireballs and meteors, his attacks are all based around elemental bats. He'll sometimes teleport in and throw 3 fire bats forward in lieu of his usual hellfire attack. Double jumping over those makes for an easy dodge. He's also got, I believe, an ice elemental variant of that same attack where the bats are blue. But the weird one is his electric bat bullet hell, where he'll just spam electric bats in every direction for a few seconds. With that said, not for nothing, he doesn't exactly have much health, and since you don't have to target his head, he's actually very easy to kill in this specific entry. But we're not done yet, are we?
Power. I need my full power.
Huh?
Chase him. Don't let him escape.
I'll take care of Father. You go after him. Right. Get Master to safety. Nathan, banish Dracula, and then make sure you get out. I will. So in a bit of a departure from how a lot of the rest of the series works, we fought the first phase of the final boss, but we don't actively get locked into the end game until you actually go into that teleporter to phase 2. And a really nice thing you can grab is that there's actively an HP max right here for after phase 1, in the case you're actively getting too low. But we're actively missing a tile on the map. And I've already mentioned where this is more or less earlier in the LP because I didn't realize I missed it until very late in here. We are missing a tile back down in the Abyss stairway right near the very start of the game, so we're just going to walk over there and grab that. In the meanwhile, let's talk about the Unicorn card finally and the combos it does. I know I kind of skimmed over a lot of the ones that the Black Dog could do, but let's focus on the Unicorn for now. The Unicorn's interesting that some of its effects that would normally deal damage with other attribute cards actively heal you instead. For instance, the Unicorn Mercury combo actively doesn't make it so that you deal extra damage with your whip in any regard. It actively makes it so that you also heal yourself with every whip strike. Similarly, the Unicorn Uranus combo summons a unicorn that heals you for about 16% of your total health. The Venus combo doubles your defenses at the cost of half your attack strength. The Jupiter combo summons a shield that deals holy damage to anything that touches it. The Mars combo gives Nathan a frankly huge sword that he swings straight ahead of himself. The Diana combo summons a homing holy elemental orb with every whip strike. The Neptune combo absorbs holy elemental damage, while the Pluto combo makes you completely invincible, albeit unable to attack. Covering the Black Dog card combos we didn't talk about last time, the Jupiter combo summons a black hole to either side of Nathan that deals damage to anything that touches it, but the combo also effectively poisons him while it's active, so you shouldn't have it going for too long. The Diana combo generates a rotating shield of 8 Dark Elemental Orbs whenever you use the whip, which is pretty nice, honestly, for piling some damage pretty quickly with nearby enemies. The Apollo combo summons a black hole to deal big damage, period. The Neptune combo absorbs dark elemental damage outright, while the Uranus combo summons the titular black dog to deal dark damage to nearby enemies. Those two cards have some pretty interesting effects, but the big thing is, they're cards that come in more handy, I'd say, on Magician mode than they do on the main playthrough, if only because anytime you're tackling the battle arena and getting that late in, you're basically at the end of the game anyway. And when some of those effects don't exactly work too well on bosses, you don't get much of a chance to use them repeatedly. I brought up earlier in the LP, I believe, that Magician mode is the way I prefer to play this game at large, and that is largely because cards like this that you only get so late in get much more of a chance to shine there. Plus, with how high your MP stat gets in that run, let alone how high your int stat can get, you have so much more freedom to actively use the cards and figure out more interesting ways to use each combo. It's truly, I think, the most interesting way to play the game at large, and it isn't lost on me that in some regards it makes it play closer to what the later games on the GBA and DS do, where the main gimmick of the game isn't just a side note like the DSS kind of feels like it is in the base playthrough, and instead make the DSS feel like it's the focal point of the game that you need to actively use well in order to actively succeed in any regard. So at this point, I've grabbed the last remaining tile in the game, and now I'm making my way to the final boss. But before I did that, I did make sure to drop a save over in the starting save point in the game in the base of the catacombs. If only because it's the closest one I have, and I might as well make sure I save everything I've done up to now, just in case. I also took a moment at the save point to actively farm the nearby torches to get my heart count back up to the max I currently can hold up to. And along the way, hey, I actively did get a spiced meat. Finally, way too late for it to be useful for me, but at least I got one now. Whenever you're ready, enter the glowing yellow light to go face the final phase of the Dracula boss fight. And this is an odd-looking one, though of all things for them to actively choose, this actively was an appearance that showed up in Dead by Daylight as an alternate skin for Dracula, apparently. So, this phase is actively broken up into 2 sub-phases, and both are marked by him teleporting frequently. Our main target is actively an eye in the center of his chest, but it's only open while he's attacking, so you need to find the gaps in his attacks to actively deal damage to him. Here in the first phase, he largely only has 3 attacks that he's going to alternate between. First off is a meteor shower that comes from behind him diagonally downward at you. The meteor positions in this attack are, as far as I know, completely random, so just try your best to dodge and weave as they come from off screen and deal damage while you can. Next up is a laser attack where he fires lasers at the ground that cover the good distance in front of him, but because there's a slight gap between when each laser is fired, there's a good opportunity for you to capitalize and deal some damage there. And the third attack is he's going to spawn some bubbles from the weird tentacle mouths near his feet. These will track onto you for a pretty good distance. Having the whip spin around is your best friend for that attack, but he's also, again, pretty open during it. There are some bosses in this game that really reward aggression, human-specific due to the lock you can get him in doing that. This is a fight you really need to be defensive on and find the moments to attack in comparison. When we hit phase 2 roughly halfway to 2/3 through his health, his pattern does change a good bit, and this is notated by him flashing green and blue like this. Here in phase 2, he ditches his other attacks completely and instead relies on alternating between a couple of charges directly at you that the rock wing can easily get you out of the way of, and then kind of hovering around the arena just as an eyeball surrounded by bats. You can only damage him during that second attack, and not for nothing, doing so is actually pretty rough because the eyeball moves at a pretty good click, and aiming sub-weapons at it can be troublesome at times, let alone the bats knocking you out of the way, because they do good damage. This phase has 3,000 HP in total. If you come here right after the first Dracula fight, you're fighting through about 4,100 health in total, which is a good bit. But let's just remember, this phase having 3,000 alone means it's the only boss in the game that actively has more health than the dragon zombies in total. Technically speaking, the dragon zombies can have even more, though, as we mentioned, if you let them recover all 300 HP at the start of the second phase of that fight, because that means that fight has 3,100 HP, which, again, really showcases how bizarre the health pool of the dragon zombies is in the context of the rest of the game around it, because every boss before and after is so much more reasonable with the health totals for the amount of damage you can deal at that point in the game. I don't know what they were doing with the dragon zombies' health. They probably could have cut that in like 2/3 to be about like 2,000 in total. Would have been a lot more natural feeling, maybe. The second half of this fight can get kind of tedious at a certain point, I won't lie, because dodging the first attack with the charges is pretty easy, but figuring out what direction the eyeball is going to be coming from and reacting to that really draws this phase out, I find. There's probably some strategy or DSS combo you can use here to be a lot more aggressive that I just never think to use, but it's not my thing. Although I do know, speedrunners in specific use the DSS glitch I mentioned earlier where you can activate a combo then quickly swap to get another combo's effect going. They actively use, I think, one of the summon combos on top of the Pluto Black Dog combo to turn into the skeleton to actively beat this game in about 3 or 4 minutes in total. If memory serves, they like use the summon animation to clip into a wall through a screen transition, and then they just get into the boss fight pretty quickly from there. It's a very luck-reliant speedrun, though, because the chances of the big bone being thrown that does a lot of damage is pretty low. On top of that, if they get touched once, you know, instant kill. Well, that's a weird sprite layering issue there. Oh boy. I destroyed him, but his hands are still going. Oh god. I will give this Dracula fight this. It is a decent challenge, even if you are decently equipped, which is more than I can say for some Dracula fights, especially in the Metroidvania-type games. Symphony and Harmony especially come to mind in that regard. Though I think the hardest final boss across all of these games is... it's between either Portrait or... God, Ecclesias can also be pretty rough, not for nothing. Although, hey, not for nothing, today, actively, we just got the release date for Belmont's Curse, unless it gets delayed between this getting recorded and uploaded and actually releasing. October 15th? I'll be playing that probably on stream as soon as it comes out, so I'm excited for that. Rose Belmont, huh? Curious to see how that goes out. Sad it's not a canonized version of Sonia, but close enough, I suppose, close enough. I also find it funny, a lot of the Castlevania titles are kind of poetic sounding, but they don't really mean much in the context of the game. We have a literal circle of the moon right behind us. We found it, boys. That's game!
It is a wasted effort. I will never be truly gone. So long as there is darkness and desire in the soul of man, I will continue to be revived.
And we will be there to stop you. You can bet on that. Master, are you well?
Nathan, thank you. You did well. You have become a hunter in your own right. Hugh, I need to thank you as well. But your training must begin anew. I know, Father. I will train like I was reborn to become worthy. Hey, Nathan, if you become soft, I'll take over for you. I look forward to the challenge, Hugh. Before I cover my thoughts on the game, just want to say I adore this credits track. It's one of my favorites in the series, probably next to Serenade of Sympathy from the PSP and more modern re-releases of Symphony of the Night. I believe this is called Repose of Souls? That's Circle of the Moon, though! My opinion on it's probably been pretty clear through most of the LP. I think it's a really neat game. It has a lot of really cool, unique things to it, but structurally, I just find it to be the least interesting of the Metroidvania Castlevanias. And one of the weaker Metroidvanias I've played, period. Between the power-ups just not being as notable an upgrade for Nathan's moveset, how the upgrades themselves are paced out, how exploration doesn't feel as rewarding to other games in this genre due to most of them just being stat max-ups, it's just far from my favorite. With that said, as we covered earlier, when you add in the little detail that this was most staff members' first time making a game in this genre, it really is a respectable first effort at one. The music, Remix's original, is really good. The DSS is a really cool idea that's just very poorly executed, in my opinion. There's a lot here that a more direct follow-up could have really fixed up. But I doubt that's going to happen unless it turns out Belmont's Curse has the DSS, which, hey, I wouldn't say no. Back when I streamed this through the Advanced Collection, the general opinion I had was this game takes a lot from Classicvania and Symphony of the Night, but kind of feels like it does the worst with both options there. And I think there is some nuggets of truth to that statement still, but I think that was a bit harsh to say at the time now in retrospect.
there's still some really cool stuff here, and I can really see why some people have this as their favorite in this genre for this series. It's just, I think every other entry like this for Castlevania is much more engaging than this one is, including Simon's Quest in my eyes. For beating the game, we get the code that allows you to access Magician Mode, which, as I mentioned, is also my favorite way to play through the game because you don't have to worry about farming up the DSS cards. But with that, I'm going to need to end this LP off here. Thank you guys for watching, have a great night, take care, and I'll see you guys next Let's Play, whatever that may be. See you guys then.